I always knew the house changed a little after sunset. The floors got quieter, the lights softened against the walls, and the rooms felt emptier. But that night, the silence carried something heavier, something I couldn't name. He had called an hour earlier saying he'd be working late again. Something in his voice didn't match his words. Not wrong, just hollow. Like he wasn't talking to his wife, just giving an excuse to a stranger. I tried to keep myself busy. Folded the laundry, reheated the dinner he said not to wait for, wiped the same countertop 3 times. None of it helped. The clock seemed louder than usual, ticking like it was counting down to something I wasn't prepared for. When his car finally pulled into the driveway, I felt that tiny drop in my stomach, the kind you get right before bad news. I told myself it was nothing, just tired nerves, long week, but the body knows what the heart refuses to say. He walked in with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He kissed my cheek too fast, and when he hung his jacket on the back of the chair, I smelled it, not the scent he always wore, not the scent of his office or the old building he worked in. No, it was sweeter, warmer, a scent I didn't recognize but somehow understood. Immediately, perfumers. He didn't notice me. He didn't see the way my hands stopped moving. Instead, he walked past me, humming softly, like everything was normal. I remember staring at that jacket, wondering how long that scent had been there. One night, a week, months, and the worst thought came quietly, like a whisper sliding under a door. How many late nights had nothing to do with work? I didn't ask him. I didn't breathe a word. Because sometimes silence reveals more truth than any question. I just stood there, the perfume drifting toward me in soft waves. And for the first time in our marriage, I felt like I wasn't the only woman standing in that kitchen. I tried to sleep that night, but the smell of her perfume wouldn't leave my mind. Even after he showered, even after he laid beside me, I could still sense it, faint and stubborn, like a truth refusing to fade. He turned his back to me, breathing slow and steady. Too steady, like someone performing sleep instead of falling into it. I lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling a space open between us, a quiet, cold space that hadn't been there before, a space wide enough for secrets to hide in. The house felt strange. Even the walls felt like they were listening. By morning, I convinced myself I was overthinking. People brush past strangers all the time. Perfume lingers. Accidents happen. But when I walked into the kitchen, his jacket was still hanging there from the night before, and the scent hadn't faded at all. If anything, it smelled stronger, fresh, intentional. I stood there, holding the fabric between my fingers, and the truth settled into my chest. This wasn't an accident. That was the first moment I let myself wonder who she was, and how long she'd been living in the quiet corners of my marriage. He came into the kitchen a few minutes later, rubbing his eyes like nothing was wrong. He smiled, the same tired smile he'd used for months, the one that always felt borrowed. "Morning," he said. His voice was warm, but not for me. Not anymore. I watched him reach for the jacket. I watched his fingers hesitate, only for a second, but long enough to confirm he already knew what I'd noticed. He didn't put it on. He folded it over his arm instead, avoiding my eyes, like fabric could hide guilt. I wanted to ask him. I wanted to say her name, even though I didn't know it yet. I wanted to ask why me, why now, why like this. But the words stayed trapped behind my teeth. Because once a question is asked, the truth has to answer. And I wasn't ready for the truth, not yet. He kissed my forehead quickly, too quickly, and walked out the door like it was any ordinary morning. But I stood there frozen, the smell of her perfume drifting softly through the room, and a single question echoing in my mind. What else is he lied about? The question felt heavy, and I knew it was only the first of many. The real answers were waiting, and they wouldn't stay buried forever.